So I want to start with something I think we can probably all agree on. Success today isn't about delivering more outputs, it's about creating real outcomes. Outcomes for our customers, impact for the business. That shift from measuring what we deliver to measuring what we achieve is at the heart of why product thinking has become essential. But here's the thing. Most organizations are not designed to operate that way. Most organizations are built on what we call the project model, a model defined by hard deadlines, rigid deliverables, and velocity-based output. And while that made sense in the past, it holds us back in how successful we can be today and restricts us from our success in the future. So this is a shift that we need to make from project to product, from something with a finish line to something with an ongoing purpose, from delivering something once to delivering value continuously. This shift is what turns uncertainty into opportunity. It's how we build products that customers really love. It's how we become innovators in the market. The shift is how we become market leaders, and it will future-proof your business. The question is, for you today and to think about for the rest of this conference, is which of these two models are you living in today, and which do you want your organization to live in tomorrow? The choice should feel simple. But the thing is, if it was a simple choice, then every organization will be working that way. The reality, making the shift happen is really hard. And it's really hard for a number of different reasons. There is a lot of encouragement out there. There are conference talks. There are books. There are podcasts. Even AI will encourage you to work with a product thinking mindset, being more product-led. But there is a lack of tangible, actionable guidance that will help us to make this shift into becoming a true product company with a product operating model. It's also hard because, honestly, right now, the economy is really tough. We have global wars happening, geopolitical instability. We also have the AI revolution, mass layoffs in tech still happening. Essentially means that we have to do way more with way less. And it's also really hard because, as I said, most organizations, they're built on certainty, where really the only lever we can pull is efficiency gains to help us to be more successful. It's hard, and we're not alone in this, okay? So 2% of surveyed organizations in a piece of research done only a couple of years ago, only 2% of organizations have implemented a product operating model at scale. So more than just one exemplar team, more than one just innovation lab team at scale. That's a huge 98% that are still on their journey to implementing a product operating model. And of that 98%, 97% of them have faced significant challenges in that implementation. Challenges with leadership, challenges with scope, challenges with technology, people, capability. It is really hard, and I know it's really hard. And as Tracy just mentioned, I worked at Farfetch a number of years ago, and I joined with the intention, the hope, the ambition of helping Farfetch to become a product company. I worked very closely with the VP of product at the time, Angela, and the VP of design, Justin. Great product thinking leaders with a real good vision of becoming a product company and turning Farfetch into that product company. And I joined to make that happen, to put in all the operational change, all the different things that we might want to do with the 15 product teams we had at the time. Now, unsurprisingly, it completely bombed, right? It took 3 to 4 times longer to put even the most basic changes in place. And honestly, a year later, we were no more product-led than we were when we had started. What I want to show to you today is my new approach that helps my clients, and hopefully will also help you to become part of this 2% that can implement a product operating model at scale, not just one team. And that starts, and again, thank you for Tracy for the introduction, because that starts with connecting strategic intent to tactical behavior change. That strategic intent is the operational strategic intent that we want to become a product-led organization. And the thing is, it's not the ambition or the effort that's missing. Our leaders have great ambitions and vision to be product companies. We do want to work in this way. We're encouraged to do it. And the people on the ground in the teams do put the effort in to make those changes happen. It's not the ambition or the effort that's missing. It's the bridge between them, that connecting point. So when we look at this, we have the strategic intent right at the top. And down at the bottom, the tactical change. And there is a big gap between these two things. And I know most of you are already working with product strategy, and the work that you're doing connects via goals. But when it comes to operational strategy, what tends to happen a lot is we want to be a product company. Now let's go and change a few things in the team. Exactly what I did at Farfetch, exactly what didn't work. And this missing link here is the thing that ties everything together, that brings all of your focus when it comes to tactical change so you can show progress towards that strategic intent. This is what I call capabilities, and I do not mean individual or team-level capabilities. I mean organizational capabilities. How capable is your organization at being a product company, at doing product in the right way, like Pippa said at the beginning? You can think about this in a way, I'm sure many of us have attempted, at least, I know I certainly have, to go to the gym, to lose maybe a bit of weight, to become a little bit leaner, maybe build a little bit more muscle. And honestly, when I get there and I walk on the treadmill for maybe 10 minutes, I sit on the exercise bike maybe 20 minutes because it feels like sitting down anyway, right? You don't achieve the vision. You are not going to lose those kilograms. You're not going to build any muscle. Because these organizational capabilities are a bit like your muscle groups. And you have to understand each of them and build and practice each of them so that you can actually achieve that goal. And the thing like with muscle groups and with fitness, there's loads of them. These are all the organizational capabilities that you need to become a product company. A product company that is strategically aligned, value-driven, outcome-focused, and incredibly importantly, financially impactful. These are all the capabilities that your org needs to become a product company. And you have to work on each and every one of those muscles. You have to go back to the gym. As much as you don't want to get up at 6 a.m., you still have to do it to achieve your goals. So here's an example from Farfetch. We wanted to become an outcome-focused organization. It's often where orgs start when they want to become product-led companies. They start with working towards outcomes. And I very cleverly put in a very simple, basic change into every single one of those 15 teams, a thing we just call starting conditions. You probably use these things already. Ask 5 simple questions, things like, what is the customer problem? What are we going to do to try and solve it? How will we know it's solved? Things like that. Very simple. Nobody did anything. Really simple questions at the start of every initiative to shift us away from stakeholder projects and JIRA management and into more product thinking. No one did anything. And that was just one of probably about 20 things that we tried to put into place. And none of them were really quite hitting the mark. Because of that missing link and the strategic intent that became outcome focused, the link was too broad. It was only when we realized that it was the capability of iterative learning that we were trying to improve upon that it started to make sense for people. They started to bring all those different changes we were putting into place because straight away they had a focus. I'm trying to improve my team's iterative learning, a thing that I know we're struggling with, and we will become more outcome focused if we do that. So that is the first part, simply connecting strategic intent of being a product company to the tactical behavior change through organizational capabilities. The second part of this is balancing resources and incentives. Now, things with resources and incentives, if you lack either of them, if you lack resources, you can expect resistance. No budget, no time, no people to do anything. Your people will resist the change. They will not take part. If you lack incentives, expect resentment. You have everything you need, but there's no reason for me to do this, so I'm probably not going to do it. This features not just in business, not just in product, not just in tech, but in real life too. A number of years ago, I ridiculously took on a hiking challenge. It was in West Yorkshire, where I'm originally from, and it's called the Three Peaks Challenge. That means climbing 3 mountains, right? And obviously, as I've just said, I didn't go to the gym that much. I was not prepared anyway. Three peaks, 3 mountains, and you had to do it in a 12-hour period. I had huge incentive. Number one, we were doing this for charity, and we'd actually raised a few £1,000s for the charity of our choice, a group of us who did it. So I was incentivized by that, number one. The second incentive I had is, if you did the hiking challenge within the 12 hours, there was a pub at the end, and you got free beer. If anybody knows me, this is a huge incentive, okay? You'll find out that later as well. So I had all the incentive I needed. The problem is I had no resources. I had the wrong hiking boots. I did not have waterproof gear. I didn't have the hiking sticks, the wrong food, no painkillers, little water. I also met my partner on this trip who had all the resources she needed because she'd spent time at the gym. She had the right boots, the right sticks, enough food and water for everyone, enough painkillers. Surprise, surprise, she did it in 8 hours, and I'm not joking. She was at the pub. I did it in 11 hours and 58 minutes. The pub was closed, and I got the train back alone, okay? You can tell I'm still quite resentful about this. You need both resources and incentives to make anything happen. No one will do anything without these two things. Resources look like this when you're talking about organizational change. You need the time, both physical and mental, and the space, both physical and mental, to make these changes happen. You need the right people with the right capabilities, and you need budget. You need both direct budget in terms of what new training programs do we have money for, do we need to bring in outside help, and indirect budget. Can we take people away from product delivery focused onto organizational evolution? Do we have the budget to do that? Can we take away some of that potential new revenue that might be coming in? When you have all that, you are ready to go, but like I said, you need the incentives. The incentives look like this. Firstly, growth opportunities. It's not surprising for many of us that actually growth opportunities in business is what we're actually looking for. It's not always monetary reward, even though that's great. It's the opportunity to work with different people and to grow our own capabilities. Often people want recognition for the great work that they're doing. And yes, finally, we do want rewards in terms of role change, grade change, bonuses, new share options, etc. And if you have all that, you will be motivated to actually do the work. When I was working at Bumble a few years ago, we had all of our resources in place. Leadership wanted this change to happen. We had the time, we had the space, we definitely had the right types of people, and we had some budget to get some of those external training programs brought in. What we lacked was incentives, but only our communication of those incentives. Those incentives did exist, we just hadn't really told anyone about them. They had huge growth opportunities because this type of org evolution work was important to the highest levels of senior leadership. The founder of the company cared about what we were doing. They had opportunities to partner and work with different people across the organization. They also would get recognition because we were going to put them onto the all-hands stage. They'd get recognition again at that highest level of senior leadership. And for reward, we linked all operational change objectives to their final year review, their final year goals. So they can go back to their management team and say, you wanted me to change the organization, hit these goals, this is what I've done. That's a huge opportunity for reward and a good negotiation tactic for individuals. Once you have both of these things in place, people are ready to go and they're motivated to do it. So that's the second part, balancing resources and incentives. The third part of this is cultivating that long-term commitment. This is often a part that is missed because we have our strategic intent. We've put everything together in terms of our resources, our incentives, and we're ready to go. The part that is often missing, unfortunately, is how do we actually make the change happen? Who do we need to make that change happen? And I think we've all been in a position where dictation does not work in the long term. If you want short-term commitment, and often, I was just speaking to someone outside about this, sometimes you do just need to force through things happening. And as a leader, you can sometimes be a benevolent dictator. I know this is going to be good for the org. I've got a much broader picture of what the org needs right now and what our customers and business need. So we're just going to force through some things. But it only happens on the short term. That only has some short-term impact. We need long-term commitment, and that's something that is cultivated. So how do we do that cultivation? When I was a younger man, and again, actually, when I was a younger man, I was slightly more sporty and a little bit more fit. I used to play in a five-a-side football team. Now, fitness wasn't the question here. It was your ability to play football, which I did not have. We were a terrible, terrible football team in a really, really bad league. And we were still consistently bottom, being beaten by everyone. I had fun, okay, so there was a good reason to play. And every now and again, we would get a good player come and join us. And that player would help us and tell us what to do differently, maybe some strategies and some tactics, how to play better, what positions to play in, right? Did anybody do anything with that advice and guidance? No. Did we change anything that we were doing? No. Did we become a better football team in a terrible league? Did we raise up positions in any way? Absolutely not. Did that player stay with us for very long? No. They also left, and that happened multiple times. The only time that anything changed, and I was about 30 at this point, right? The only time anything changed was when a football team joined of 12 to 15-year-old schoolboys that absolutely ran circles around us, thrashed us every single game, every single time we played them, and they did that for every single team in the league. They ended up at the top. They went up into the next league. Surprise, surprise, the next season, every single team had got better. We knew how to now play football that's slightly better because we've been playing against this really great team. And that exposure to just other good players and seeing what they were doing was enough to cultivate change in that league. We were still terrible, to be honest, but at least we felt better about it. Short-term commitment is dictated, long-term commitment is cultivated. As I said, when leadership identify the strategic intent to be a product organization, they might also identify the organizational capabilities that they want to improve, optimize, sustain in some cases. If they simply go to a product team or a number of product teams and say, hey, we want you to be great at we want to improve your iterative learning capability, each of those teams with incredibly narrow focus will go away and try and figure out what that looks like. There'll be very minimal impact on how the org actually operates from a very broader perspective. And it just simply doesn't work. What you want to try and do is create what I call operational working groups. Those groups are cross-functional, so we've got different perspectives from different parts of the business, not just product managers, designers, and data people, although they should be part of the team. How about people from finance? How about people from legal? We're talking about organizational evolution. We need all the various different perspectives in the room, so they have to be cross-functional. In many cases, they should also be cross-level, seniority level. As an example, if you want your org to be more financially impactful, you would not create an operational working group full of lesser experienced designers. You probably need some product directors in there and some more senior people. So you should be cross-level as well, cross-seniority level. And it should also be cross-team. You don't give one product team the goal of improving organizational evolution. You have to take members out of those teams and create a separate group. So this is where I'm talking about indirect budget. Can we take people away from those teams? Is it going to impact our opportunity for revenue? Can we do this now? Should we do this now? Cross-functional, cross-level, cross-team. When that group, that operational working group, is given an organizational capability to focus on by leadership from a broad perspective, they will change the organization. It's up to them to go and do the discovery and the research, to figure out why we're not great at iterative learning, what can we change here, what should we be doing differently, and to start to make incremental change. And that's how you cultivate long-term change when it comes to this type of work. They should be an empowered, so empowerment means autonomous and aligned to solve these problems from a broad perspective. I was working with a client recently, Reward Gateway, who are in the employee benefit space. They're a B2B SaaS company. And one of their biggest challenges was actually that they had multiple product marketing managers that were not part of a team. They worked individually in different countries, and they very rarely got together. And if you've worked with product marketing people, the biggest challenge they often have is we just don't know what's happening. We don't know what you're going to be working on. We don't know how long it's going to take, and we can't sell it to the customers in each of these locations. This is just an issue of clarity, right? And all it takes is really just to bring a group together to discuss what we're doing at different points along the whole product development lifecycle, including sunsetting certain features or products. And when you start involving those people in those conversations, all of a sudden clarity becomes a non-question because everyone just knows what's happening. So at Reward Gateway, we built an operational working group that was made up of some good product managers from the sense of how well they were communicating, some product designers who were also involved, and tech people, and product marketing managers. As soon as we brought that group together, it took no longer than probably a month for change to actually happen. No longer than a month for people to stop coming to me in an operational role and saying, we don't know what's happening. And that group were the ones that caused that change to happen. So that's the final part, cultivating long-term commitment. So if you want to shift your organization from project to product, from project operating models to product operating models, you need to do these three things. You need to connect your strategic intent to the tactical change that you want to make through organizational capability focus. You need to balance the resources and the incentives that you have so that people will actually do something and they have everything they need to do it. And you need to cultivate long-term commitment in a way that allows people to be empowered to the change by forming operational working groups. Everything that I've spoken about here today is going to be in a book that's coming next year with my co-writers, Ezra Yetish and Hugo Freusch, who are both here at the conference today. Hugo is speaking later. So ask any of those people about this book and the content I'm speaking about as well. If you want to register, you can do that on the QR code or go to maketheproductshift.com. We will be sharing regular updates, and we're having a newsletter come quite quickly after this conference as well, so sign up to that. I will also send you all of these slides, but with more content, more examples, so you straight away can start to do some of this work. My name is Chris Compston. I'm founder of a consultancy that is focused on building great product operating models so that you can continue to build great products. I do consulting, I do advisory coaching, I do leadership coaching, leadership development coaching, and also training that's specific to org evolution and building great product operating models. Thank you so much.